I was sipping coffee, scrolling through my phone. Then I saw a message pop up from Rachel, my girlfriend of 2 years. What I read next shattered me. I'm keeping the baby, but I'm putting Brian's name on the birth certificate. For a moment, I just froze. I thought maybe I misread it. I reopened the message. Nope, that's exactly what she wrote. My heart started pounding in my chest. I replied, "What are you talking about? Is this some kind of joke?" No reply. 10 minutes later she finally texted back, "I'm sorry. I just can't do this anymore." My hands started shaking. I called her, no answer. I called again, nothing. I grabbed my keys and drove straight to her apartment. The entire drive, my mind was screaming, "Is the baby mine? Has she been cheating this whole time?" When I got there, her car wasn't in the lot. I sat there, waiting, my stomach twisted in knots. After about 20 minutes, a familiar truck pulled in. Brian's truck. He got out with that same smug grin I'd always hated. "What are you doing here, man?" he asked casually. I clenched my jaw. "I'm here to talk to Rachel," he smirked. "So you got her text, huh?" My fists tightened. "Is the baby yours?" I asked. He shrugged. "Guess we'll find out." Those words hit me like a knife. Just then, Rachel's car pulled in. She looked pale, almost like she'd seen a ghost. "We need to talk," she said quietly. I followed her inside. The air in her apartment felt heavy. "Is the baby mine?" I asked straight out. She couldn't even look me in the eye. "I don't know," she whispered. My world went dark for a second. "You don't know," I repeated. Tears welled up in her eyes. "Remember that week we broke up? I made a mistake. I slept with him once." My heart started pounding louder than ever. "And you didn't think I deserved to know?" "I was scared," she said through tears. "I didn't want to lose you." I stared at her, numb. "You already lost me," I said quietly. I turned around and walked out. My chest felt like it was caving in. I just drove, no destination, no direction. The radio was off. The world was silent. The only thing in my head was that message. "I'm keeping the baby, but I'm putting Brian's name on the certificate." My stomach turned every time I replayed it. That night, she texted again. "Please, can we talk?" I ignored it. I couldn't even look at my phone anymore. I lay awake all night, staring at the ceiling. My thoughts were racing. What if the baby really is mine? What if it's not? The idea of another man's name being written next to hers tore me apart. But deep down, I knew I needed the truth. I decided right then, when the time came, I'd get a DNA test, whether she liked it or not, because the truth was the only thing that could save me from breaking completely. The next morning, I woke up feeling like my chest was crushed. My phone was full of unread messages from Rachel. "Please talk to me. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just need time." I didn't reply. I went to work, but my head wasn't there. My coworkers noticed. One of them, Jason, asked, "You okay, man?" I forced a smile. "Yeah, just tired." But inside I was dying. After work, I drove by Rachel's place again. Her car was there, and so was Brian's truck. I parked down the street and just sat there in silence. Part of me wanted to go knock on the door. The other part of me didn't want to see what I'd find. After an hour, I drove home, gripping the steering wheel so hard my hands hurt. I didn't cry. I couldn't. I felt empty. That night, she called again. Against my better judgment, I picked up. "Hey," she said, her voice small and shaky. "What do you want, Rachel?" "I just need to explain." "Explain what?" "That you don't even know whose baby it is." She started crying. "I made a mistake." "Okay, but I love you. I swear I do." I laughed bitterly. "You don't get to say that anymore." She went silent. "Please, can we meet tomorrow? Just one time, face to face." I hesitated. Against all logic, I said yes. The next day we met at a small cafe downtown. She looked tired, worn out, maybe even guilty. I sat down across from her. "Why am I here, Rachel?" "Because I want to make things right." "How do you make this right?" I asked quietly. She looked at me with teary eyes. "I don't want to lose you. You already lost me the moment you lied." She reached for my hand. I pulled it back. "I'll take the DNA test," she said suddenly. I froze. "You will?" "Yes. I want to prove it's yours." I didn't believe her. Something about her tone felt off. I just nodded and said, "Fine, we'll do it when the time comes." After that, she tried to talk about us, but I couldn't even look at her. I paid the bill and left. That night, I started doing research how to legally request a paternity test. I even saved up some money for it. I wasn't going to let her or Brian make me look like a fool. Weeks passed, she barely texted. I assumed it was over between us for good. Then, out of nowhere, she sent me a sonogram picture. "It's a girl," she wrote. My chest tightened. I stared at the tiny image on my screen, that little shape inside her. No matter how much she hurt me, a part of me still cared. That part refused to die. She texted again. She's healthy. Doctor says everything's perfect. I typed, that's good, but deleted it. I didn't want her to think I was coming back. But deep down I wanted to be there. I hated myself for still loving her. One night, my friend Jason said, "You need to move on, man." I nodded, pretending I could, but my heart didn't listen. I kept thinking about the baby, and about what would happen when she was born. I had no idea of the storm that was waiting for me. Because soon, Rachel would do something that would break me all over again. Something I'd never forgive. Months passed in silence. Rachel stopped calling completely. I tried to move on, started working longer hours, joined the gym, anything to keep my mind off her. But she never really left my head. Every time I saw a pregnant woman, I thought of her. Every time I saw a little girl at the park, my chest hurt. Then one night in late June, I got a text. "She's here." My hands froze over my phone. Rachel sent a picture, a tiny baby wrapped in a pink blanket. "Her name's Emma," she wrote. I stared at the picture for what felt like forever. That small face looked so innocent. I didn't know if she was mine, but I already felt something. I typed congratulations, then deleted it. Instead, I texted, "Is she healthy?" "Yes," she replied. "She's perfect." I wanted to ask about the birth certificate, but I couldn't. I was scared of the answer. A few days later, Jason found me staring at my phone again. "Dude, just ask for the test already," he said. He was right. I couldn't live in this limbo. I called a private paternity testing service. They said they could do a discreet test. All they'd need was a swab from the baby. I made an appointment. Now I just had to convince Rachel to agree. I texted her, "We need to talk." She agreed to meet at a park near her apartment. When I arrived, she was sitting on a bench holding the baby. My heart nearly stopped when I saw them. The baby's eyes, they looked a lot like mine. "She's beautiful," I said softly. Rachel smiled faintly. "She's been sleeping a lot." I nodded, not knowing what to say. Then I said it. "I want a DNA test." Her smile vanished. "You don't trust me?" she asked quietly. I laughed bitterly. "You lied to me, Rachel. What do you expect?" She looked away. "Fine, do whatever you want. I just need to know the truth," I said. She didn't answer. She handed me the baby instead. That moment, everything stopped. Holding that tiny body in my arms, I felt tears rise. Her warmth, her smell, it was overwhelming. "Hi there," I whispered to the baby. She yawned and stretched. My heart broke all over again. "Can I take a small sample for the test?" I asked gently. Rachel nodded slowly. "Go ahead." I took a tiny swab from her cheek, handed her back, and thanked Rachel. When I got home, I sent the sample to the lab. Then began the longest week of my life. Every day I checked my email like a man, obsessed. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Finally, on a Friday morning, the email arrived. My hands were shaking as I opened it. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely breathe. The result said, probability of paternity to 99.9%. I froze. Then tears filled my eyes. She was mine. All that pain, all that confusion, suddenly it all felt worth it. I wanted to run to Rachel and tell her, "She's ours." But something inside me stopped. I remembered the lies, the betrayal, and the fact that she'd almost erased me from my own daughter's life. I knew I couldn't forgive that easily. I had my answer, but I wasn't ready to let Rachel back in. After getting the results, I sat in silence for hours. I kept reading that line, probability of paternity, 99.9%. It felt unreal. She was my daughter, my flesh and blood. And yet I wasn't even on her birth certificate. Rachel had already registered everything before I could say a word. I found out through a friend who worked at the hospital. The father's name read, Brian M. My blood boiled. I called Rachel immediately. "Why is his name on the certificate?" I shouted. She went quiet for a second. "Because I didn't know for sure when I filled it out. You knew I wanted a test. You could have waited." "I didn't want to cause drama," she said softly. "Drama? You erased me from my own daughter's life." There was silence on the line. Then she whispered, "I'm sorry." I hung up. I didn't trust myself to speak anymore. That night, I sat alone in the dark staring at the test results. I had proof she was mine, and still, the world saw another man as her father. That was the kind of pain no one could understand. The next few weeks were chaos. Rachel called, begging to meet. At first, I ignored her, but eventually I agreed only because I wanted to see Emma. When I got there, Rachel opened the door, holding my baby. "Hey," she said quietly. I didn't answer. My eyes went straight to Emma. She was sleeping, tiny fingers curled around a pink blanket. Rachel gestured for me to come in. I sat down on the couch, barely saying a word. "You can hold her if you want," she said softly. I reached out, and Rachel placed Emma in my arms. She opened her eyes and looked at me. That single look changed something inside me. All the anger faded for a moment. I just felt love, pure, unstoppable love. Rachel watched quietly. "She looks like you," she whispered. "Yeah," I said, without looking at her. "I want us to raise her together," she said suddenly. I froze. "Rachel, we're not together. You made sure of that." "I know, but I can fix this. We can be a family." I shook my head. "You can't fix trust by pretending nothing happened." Her eyes filled with tears. "Please," she begged. "I made a mistake, but I love you." I wanted to believe her. I really did. But then I remembered everything she'd done. The lies, the hiding, the betrayal. "I can't," I said quietly. "I'll be in Emma's life, but I can't be yours." Her tears turned to anger. "You're punishing me for one mistake." "You didn't make one mistake," I replied. "You made choices that destroyed us." She looked away, silent. I placed Emma gently in her crib and got up. "I'll be here for my daughter," I said, "but don't use her to control me." Rachel didn't respond. I walked out feeling both stronger and emptier than ever. Over the next few weeks, I started visiting Emma every weekend. Each visit healed a part of me. I watched her grow, laugh, grab my finger with her tiny hands. I was finally learning how to be a dad, but Rachel didn't make it easy. She started texting again. "I miss you. We should be a family. Emma needs both of us." I ignored most of them, until one day, she sent something that shattered my calm completely. A photo, Rachel and Brian together again, smiling with Emma in between, and the caption read, "Our little family." I stared at that photo for almost a full minute before reality sank in. Rachel had posted it publicly, smiling next to Brian, holding my daughter. My hands started shaking. It felt like being stabbed all over again. I threw my phone across the room and just sat there, breathing hard. Every ounce of trust I'd tried to rebuild shattered instantly. I couldn't stop picturing Brian holding Emma, acting like her dad. I had proof she was mine, but the world didn't know it. I knew what I had to do. The next morning I called a lawyer. His name was Mr. Franklin.com, older, serious. I explained everything, the pregnancy, the lies, the DNA test, the fake birth certificate. He listened quietly, then said, "You have rights, son. Let's fight for them." For the first time in months, I felt hope. We filed a petition to amend the birth record and establish legal paternity. It wasn't cheap. I used my savings, took extra shifts, sold my car, but I didn't care. This wasn't about revenge, it was about Emma. Rachel found out within days. She called me, furious. "How dare you drag me into court? You made that choice the day you lied," I said coldly. "You're doing this just to hurt me." "No," I said. "I'm doing this to protect my daughter." She hung up on me. A few weeks later, the first court date arrived. I walked into that courtroom with my lawyer beside me. Rachel was already there and Brian too. He smirked when he saw me, but this time, I didn't flinch. The judge called the case. Mr. Franklin presented the DNA report. The judge read it silently, then looked at Rachel. "Ma'am, this test indicates with 99.9% certainty that the petitioner is the biological father." Rachel kept her head down. Brian looked stunned. For the first time, I saw guilt in Rachel's eyes. The judge continued, "Mr. Carter, you are hereby recognized as the legal father of the child." I closed my eyes. I couldn't hold back the tears. Months of pain, doubt, and humiliation finally lifted off my shoulders. After the hearing, Rachel came up to me. "You got what you wanted," she said coldly. I looked at her. "No, Rachel, I got what Emma deserved." She didn't reply. She just walked away with Brian trailing behind. Over the next few weeks, I started the process of joint custody. Rachel tried to fight it at first, but the court sided with me. I was granted regular visitation and eventually shared custody. The first weekend Emma came home with me, I didn't sleep at all. I just watched her breathe. She smiled in her sleep, and for the first time in so long, I smiled too. I set up her crib, decorated her room, bought her little toys. My apartment finally felt like home again. My friends came over and said, "Man, you look alive again." They were right. I was alive again because of her. Every laugh, every tiny sound she made filled the cracks inside me. Rachel still texted, sometimes angry, sometimes sad, but I stopped replying. I didn't owe her anything anymore. My focus was Emma and only Emma. Watching her grow reminded me that love could still be pure. One day, Jason asked me, "Do you regret fighting for her?" I looked at him and smiled, not for a second, because through all the heartbreak I'd found something real. Not a broken relationship, not revenge, but strength, and the purest form of love a man can ever feel. The love of a father who refused to give up. Months passed. Life slowly found its rhythm again. My mornings started with baby giggles instead of heartbreak. I'd drop Emma off at daycare, then head to work, tired, but proud. Every photo I took of her felt like a victory. The scars Rachel left behind were still there, but they didn't hurt anymore. Because every time Emma said "Dada," the pain faded a little more. I wasn't broken anymore. I was rebuilding stronger, wiser, and full of love. Then one evening, I got a text from Rachel. It had been months since she last reached out. "Can we talk?" she wrote. I hesitated but agreed to meet. We sat across from each other in a quiet cafe. She looked tired, older somehow. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "For everything. For lying. For hurting you." I thought I was doing the right thing. I didn't say anything at first. There was a time when I would have screamed at her, but now I just felt peace. "I know," I said. "We can't change the past, but we can do better for Emma." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "You're a good dad," she whispered. "Thanks," I said quietly. That's all I ever wanted to be. After that day, something shifted between us. We weren't lovers. We weren't enemies. We were just two people trying to raise a beautiful little girl, and that was enough. On Emma's 3rd birthday, we threw her a small party together. She laughed, ran around, smeared cake all over her face. I took a picture of her smiling between both of us. That moment, it healed something deep inside me. I realized forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means freeing yourself from the pain that held you down. That night, after everyone left, I tucked Emma into bed. She held my finger and whispered, "Love you, Daddy." My throat tightened. "I love you too, baby girl." I sat there watching her fall asleep, peaceful, innocent, mine. I thought about how far I'd come from being broken and betrayed, to standing tall, proud, and strong. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to win against Rachel. I'd already won because love had the final word. And as I turned off the light, I smiled for the first time in years. I had lost so much, but gained something priceless, a new life, a new beginning, and the purest bond a man can ever have. I'm not just the guy she lied to. I'm the father who never gave up. The end.